Hello everyone, in this video I'm reacting to how to never run out of things to say.
We've all been there.
Yes,
You
we
meet
have.
someone new or someone you kind of know. You start
Yeah.
with the usual hi, hello,
Hi,
followed by
hello.
go-to questions like, what do you
Yes.
do? Which team do you work in? And after a bit of back and forth,
Yeah.
awkward silence. I've been here many
Yes.
times. Not just at
Yes.
work,
Makes
but
sense,
at a
makes sense.
variety of different social settings.
Yes,
Like
totally
meeting a
makes
far
sense.
cousin at a wedding who I haven't seen in
Uh-huh.
years, or speaking to a random stranger at a bar. But what
Yes.
if you could speak to anyone and never run out of things to say?
That'd be
The
so
problem
awesome.
is we all have some level of social anxiety which plays a role in our awkwardness.
Yeah.
But we're all at different levels. And I personally graduated to the more advanced levels without any cheat codes. So
Hmm.
over time I developed my own 3 methods to
Awesome.
speak to anyone and never be awkward again.
I see.
Well, at least most of the time. Initially I blamed myself for being too shy, not confident,
I see,
and
I
just
see,
a
I
little
see.
bit socially inept. But
I
like
see.
everyone else, I was the exact opposite around people who I was comfortable with. So I
Yeah.
asked myself, what really is going on? How can one person have such opposite personalities? What I realized
I see.
was that even though I'm an introvert, I don't have two personalities. And it wasn't even a confidence problem, it was a skill problem. I
I see, I
simply
see.
hadn't mastered the art of small talk.
Yes,
And
small
just
talk.
like any other art form, like learning a new instrument or writing poetry, speaking to people is a skill which can be
Yes,
developed
it
with enough
is.
practice. So
Yeah, I
through
can.
years of trial and error and by observing people better than me, I quickly
Yeah.
understood the only 3 things you need to do to speak to anyone fluently and never run out of things to say. And the best
Great.
part is, you can implement these 3 things almost immediately.
Awesome. Ask
What
probing
would you do if
questions.
someone said the following? I went to play golf over the weekend. You can either
Nice.
say, oh, that's interesting, and then stare into space whilst listening to the sound of silence. Or you
Yeah.
can ask intentional follow up questions. For
Yes, you
example,
can.
where do you usually play? How long have you been playing golf for? This will
Yeah.
then naturally lead to further follow up questions like, do you play competitively? Are you part of a club? Now, you probably
Yeah.
couldn't care less about golf, but firstly, this shows that you're genuinely interested in what the other person has to say, or at least
Yeah.
that's the perception you're creating. And secondly, this removes any awkward pauses and silences.
Yes, it
And it
does.
also gives you the power to control the conversation and take it into any direction. Because when you
Yes.
really think about it, a conversation is simply a series of questions and answers. And
Yes,
the
it
person
is.
who asks most of the questions is usually the one in control. But for
Yeah.
this, it's important you're asking the right questions. And this is where the second method comes in. Now, the
Active
common
listening.
misconception is that to become better at speaking, you need to speak more. But like great paradoxes in life, to
Yeah.
improve your communication, you need to do the exact opposite
Yes.
and actually listen more.
Yes, you
That
do have
means
to
to
listen.
actively listen and do nothing else apart from listening. Because it's
Yes.
easy for our minds to wander and start preparing for our response rather than actually
Yeah.
listening to what's been said, leading you to say something which is completely irrelevant and off topic,
Yeah.
adding further to your collection of awkward moments. But if you listen intently, you can ask the right questions and create a free-flowing and more interesting conversation
Yes, you
for
can.
everyone involved. As the
Awesome.
famous quote goes, most people don't listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply.
Yes.
Don't be that person, there are enough of those already.
Yes, there is.
The cherry on the cake is when you
Commonality, so
find
what
a common
people
ground.
have in
We
common.
instantly click with people who have similar backgrounds or interests as us.
Yes, we
Sometimes
do.
this is really obvious, like you both like golf. Other
Hmm.
times it might be more difficult. But even then,
Yes.
with enough probing and by asking the right questions, there will be
Yeah.
something you both have in common. And once you find that thing, move the
Hmm.
conversation in that direction and it will start flowing itself. The
Yes, you will.
truth is, there will be times where the conversation goes nowhere, and there will be moments
Yeah, I
in your
will.
life where there will be awkward silences. And if that
Yes.
does happen, just learn to be comfortable with the silence. At the end
Yes.
of the day, it's just silence, and it will eventually pass.
Yeah,
But
we'll
by
eventually
following these
pass.
3 methods, more often than not, you'll be able to speak to anyone and never run out of things to say.
Awesome. That was a great video, man.